death. The one truth that unites kings and beggars, saints and sinners, philosophers and fools. No matter who we are, no matter what we achieve, we all walk toward the same horizon. And yet, for thousands of years, humanity has asked, what does death mean? Should we fear it, or is it the key to living fully? Today, we'll explore death not as the end, but as the ultimate teacher. Through the eyes of 10 great thinkers, we'll uncover how confronting mortality shapes the way we live. 1. Socrates, the fear of the unknown. In 399 BCE, Socrates faced his trial in Athens. Accused of corrupting the youth, he was sentenced to death. And yet, instead of trembling, he calmly drank the hemlock. Socrates taught, to fear death is to think you know what you do not. For him, death was either a dreamless sleep or a passage to another life. In both cases, why fear it? His courage showed us that death is not our enemy. Our real enemy is ignorance. 2. Epicurus. Death is nothing to us. Centuries later, the Greek philosopher Epicurus shocked people with his simple claim. Death is nothing to us. Why? Because when we exist, death is not here. And when death arrives, we no longer exist. In other words, the living never experience death. So why let it poison our days with fear? For Epicurus, peace comes from realizing death cannot harm us. Only the idea of it can. 3. The Buddha. Impermanence is the law. Far away in India, the Buddha taught another truth. All is impermanent. Life is change, every moment slipping away like water through our fingers. To cling to life is to suffer. To accept death is to awaken. Meditating on death, the Buddha said, is not morbid. It is liberation. By accepting impermanence, we see that death is not destruction, but transformation, like a flame passing from one lamp to another. 4. Seneca. Philosophy as preparation for death. The Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca believed that philosophy itself was practice for death. He who has learned how to die, Seneca wrote, has unlearned how to be a slave. For Stoics, death strips away illusions. If we live each day as if it might be our last, then we are free, because we value the present more than our fear of the end. 5. Schopenhauer, death as release. Fast forward to the 19th century. Arthur Schopenhauer, often called the philosopher of pessimism, saw life as filled with endless suffering, driven by blind desire. For him, death was not to be feared, but embraced as a release from the wheel of pain. Yet, his dark vision was not hopeless. In recognizing death, Schopenhauer believed we could live more compassionately, knowing all creatures share the same fate. 6. Friedrich Nietzsche, say yes to life. Anyway, Nietzsche rejected both fear and escape. To him, death was the backdrop that made life precious. His challenge was simple yet radical. Live so fully that you would wish to live the same life again, forever. In facing death, Nietzsche didn't preach resignation. He demanded affirmation, a great yes to life, with all its joys and sorrows. Death, in his eyes, was the canvas against which life painted its brightest colors. 7. Søren Kierkegaard, Death and Faith. For Kierkegaard, the Danish father of existentialism, death was a doorway that forced us to confront our deepest anxieties. Alone before death, all our masks fall away. And yet, for him, the answer was not despair, but faith. To stand before death is to realize our limits and to leap into trust, not in reason, but in something higher. Death, he believed, awakens us to the need for God. 8. Albert Camus, The Absurdity of Death. Albert Camus, the French philosopher of absurdism, saw death as the ultimate contradiction. We long for meaning, yet death destroys all our projects. To him, this was the absurd. Life has no ultimate explanation. But instead of surrendering, Camus urged rebellion. Like his hero Sisyphus, condemned to push a rock for eternity, we must imagine ourselves happy even in the face of meaninglessness. Death makes life absurd. But that very absurdity makes it ours to define. 9. Martin Heidegger, Being Toward Death. In the 20th century, Heidegger declared that to be human is to be being toward death. Death is not just a final event. It shapes our existence at every moment. Most people, he argued, flee from this truth into distraction. But to live authentically is to accept that every moment is finite. In this awareness, life gains weight, urgency, and meaning. 10. Leo Tolstoy, A Crisis and Awakening. Finally, the Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy, at the height of his fame, he was haunted by the thought of death. What was the point of writing, loving, building, if all would vanish? In despair, he nearly ended his life. But then, through the simple faith of peasants, he found peace. Death may end the body, but love, kindness, and spiritual truth endure. His crisis became his rebirth. Conclusion: what death teaches us about life. So, what do these 10 thinkers teach us? Socrates: death is not to be feared. Epicurus: it does not touch the living. The Buddha: it is transformation. Seneca: it sets us free. Schopenhauer: it ends suffering. Nietzsche: it makes life urgent. Kierkegaard: it points to faith. Camus: it makes life absurd, and therefore ours. Heidegger: it reveals authenticity. Tolstoy: it awakens the spirit. Each voice is different, yet all converge on one truth. Death is not the end of meaning. It is the beginning of understanding. When we stop running from death, we finally learn how to live